other thing to give her.
There you go. I'd like to call to order the April meeting of the West Bath Planning Board. Sorry, it's May, the May meeting of the West Bath Planning Board, no?
No, it's a public hearing.
I know. And we're gonna start out first with a public hearing, go over the ordinance changes for the town this year. It's required that there are two separate public hearings for the ordinance changes before they go to a town vote. So we have two people in attendance tonight, along with Kathy, Selectman. And I think you guys have copies of the ordinances. Have you looked at them online at all, or is this the first time you've seen them?
First time.
First time, okay. So, I guess what I can do is I can explain them, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. We have three different ordinance changes. The first one is an addition of the word volume in paragraph B, which appears to have been unintentionally deleted. So I don't know if you've dealt with these before, but anything underlined is a new word, anything crossed out is being deleted from the original text. So underneath non-conformance, paragraph B, there's the word volume stuck in there. I think it just disappeared somewhere in an edit over the years. And then we modified the ordinances to reflect the requirement of an affidavit to record your building expansion when utilizing the 30% expansion rule for non-conforming properties. We've always had the affidavit, it just didn't say in there specifically that you had to have one filled out. That's taken care of by the code enforcement officer when you go get your building permit. So we added down on that same paragraph B that the approved percentages increases in documented instead of the word recorded by the applicant, added via an affidavit recorded in the Saginaw County Registry of Deeds, and added the word prior to the issuance of a building permit. So, kind of simple. If you flip the page over, the third thing that we did is we modified the definition to clarify how to calculate the 30% volume and floor area when you do the expansion. The way it read before, it was kind of hard for us to discern. We know how you do it, but it didn't really explain it very well. So the new text reads, the volumes of eaves and other minor protuberances are excluded from the calculation. Only account for the volume of an enclosed foundation, basement, or lowest floor that has a minimum floor to ceiling height of 6 feet. The volume of said floor area shall be calculated by multiplying only the floor area, which has a minimum 6-foot height, by its height or average height if the heights vary. This is a little bit easier to do. Any questions?
No, yeah, looks good.
Everybody's good? Move on to the next one. So ordinance change number 2. We modified the ordinance to state the requirement of right, title, and interest for all applications. You don't want someone coming in, doing an application on a piece of property that they haven't bought yet, that the owner doesn't know that they're in there giving an application on. So we always require them to have right, title, and interest, so ownership. Either they're a renter or a lease or someone who has permission from the owner to speak on their behalf. And so under approvals and permits, we added that the title, right, and interest in the application property must be provided for all applications. Leases must be fully executed by all parties. The second was the second was that the requirement that the leases to prove right, title, and interest must be signed by the lessor, which was in that I just said. The other part is that any requirement that any abutter notifications may be certified mail and sent by town staff. So before, when something's happening around your neighborhood, you have to have notification, a subdivision, a site plan, something like that. there's a bunch of different places in the ordinance that outlined how the abutters had to be notified. They weren't consistent, sadly, and they didn't state that it had to be certified return receipt mail, so you wouldn't have any proof that it was actually sent. So we decided to come through and clean it up, and we made the provision here in E4B that described how it had to be done. So, and then in the other sections that you see on the next pages were the sections in the book where it was inconsistent, so we kind of just added it in. So under E4B, the requirement is all required abutter notifications shall be sent to all appropriate parties via certified mail return receipt requested by town staff no less than 14 days before any hearing. Notification fees shall be in accordance with the current town fees and penalties schedule and paid to the town by the applicant at the time of application. Okay, so that's the provision of how it has to be done. Down below in the amendments, the I3A, we just said with return receipt requested. Okay, if you flip the page, and these are the sections to try to make it consistent. So on the second, under AA5, which is on the communication towers, we added in accordance with land use article 1 section E4B, which is the one that I just read to you, and took out all the other verbiage that said that it had to be 14 days prior, and applicant shall provide proof of mailings to the planning board at the public hearing. So it's just to make it consistent, okay? And then we went down, there's another section under land use ordinance, Board of Appeals, A, variances procedure. It was referred in there also that it had to be by regular mail at least 7 days prior to the date of the hearing. So we struck that from there and then put in accordance with land use ordinance article 1 section E4B. So referred it back to the beginning again, so it's consistent. Went down to development review ordinance article 5.1 procedure. And at the very bottom of the page, you can see that we added in accordance with land use ordinance article 1 section E4B and crossed out by the applicant via mail. So those are really to clean those up, make it consistent and easier for everyone involved.
I have a question.
Sure.
What happens, you asked for a return receipt
Yep.
requested, which actually is a green card
Yeah,
that
the
goes in
green
the back,
card.
and
Yep.
the person that receives it is supposed to sign it. And
Yep.
what happens when people don't return that? How is the board going to respond? I wonder.
You have the receipt at the town hall that it was sent,
Right, it will go back to the town hall, not to us.
but you get a receipt when it's sent.
No, I understand. I understand how return receipt works. But what if people will not sign the return receipt form?
That's a really good question, what the selectmen want us to do.
I had a recent experience
don't.
where I had to make a notice and so forth, it was a DEP permit,
Mm-hmm.
and all they require is a certified mail, so it certifies that it's delivered
Right.
to that address. I wonder if we'd want to consider that in this case.
Well, I think the problem is that you could send it to a bogus address.
Right.
Say that it was
So it goes to
sent,
the-
but no one gets it.
It'll go to the address on record for the tax bill.
Well,
So
it
it's-
still goes back then to the question, how are we going to respond? Are we going to say, okay, you don't have these return receipts from, you notified 15 people,
Mm-hmm.
and you only have 10 return receipts. So are we going to say, well, we can't consider this, or?
That's up to the selectmen to decide, I think, because it's not coming to us at all. The town is sending it to the abutter, and then that's coming back to the town. And then in between the administrator and the code enforcement officer, they have to decide if everything is complete. And if those don't all come back and it's not complete, then it's not complete, so they probably shouldn't.
But this is really proof of sent versus,
No, I understand how it works.
no, what I'm just saying,
I'm just interested in the physical problem.
well, we didn't have
Because
that,
people don't always sign
agree.
that return receipt and put it in the mail. They'll say, I don't like that, I'm just gonna throw it away.
I think you have to go to the post office to sign it, to get it, don't you? No?
Yeah, well, no,
It
they'll
comes
try
on
to
the
deliver
back
it
of
to
the
you
envelope,
if you're not there.
and you just tear it off the back of the envelope. You're supposed to sign it and put it back in the mailbox, and it goes by mail back to the town.
No, the postal person brings it to you.
Yeah.
And
You have to sign
and
it.
the postal
They don't
person-
give it to you until
takes
it's
it back.
acknowledged.
Because I had to go to the
Yep.
post office because I wasn't there when they came with
They'll
it.
leave you a slip that says, you weren't here to sign this, please come and pick it up.
So.
So it's a good
But
question.
again, going to, I mean, there's gonna be some of those green slips that don't come back.
But at least they're going to the address where their tax bill is going. Before, we had no way to determine that.
But he has a valid question.
No, he does.
And I think that there needs to be a process within the town to deal with that.
Have a deputy deliver it.
No.
Hey, watch it.
Well, just make it certified. I mean, the
It is.
post
It
office
is
is
certified.
saying, that's right, without the return receipt. And then you've got your certified slip that says it was delivered, the post office has said that it's been delivered. Isn't that enough for notice?
I think, but that's what this is.
But it's also return receipt, certified
They're two
return
different
receipt.
things.
It's two separate things.
I
It's
think that's
certified by the post office, it was delivered,
Mhm.
and then the person signs the return receipt, the green slip, and that goes back to the,
I presume if they don't sign it, it comes back to the town hall, we're notified that they did not receive it. And then we take a second action.
Right, you just have to come up with a policy, the administrator, the
Is
select.
that accurate? If
So
something's
what
sent
to
out
do
and they don't sign it,
if that happens?
You-
It would take a lot longer than 14 days.
Yeah.
Takes like 30 or so.
why not just require it to be certified? Why do we need the return receipt?
So you need to decide whether you're gonna go through with this, or
Because-
if you're gonna ask it,
Right.
redo it.
The question was, it could go to a bogus address.
Ballots
And
are
yes,
done.
it was sent, but the person didn't get it. That's why we did the return receipt. Because if you have two places, and in the summertime you're here, and in the wintertime you're down in
Oh, sure.
Florida, and you've got a neighbor next door that knows that you don't want something going in next to them, and they send it to Florida, okay? It gets sent, and you don't get it, and you don't know about the hearing, so you don't go. It's to try to keep that from happening.
So it goes to where the tax bill is going, which is
No,
a
I
more
understand.
legitimate address
Right,
than whatever else is selected.
Does
Okay.
the post office,
Well,
are they willing to put an initial that they handed it to somebody? Do they ever do that?
the return receipt, when they hand it to you, you
They
sign it
stamp
and
it.
take it back.
Right, but do they put their initial that they
It gets processed.
handed it, I wonder?
You don't get the envelope
Scan it.
until you sign it, and then it gets stamped,
Yeah, you don't get it until, yeah.
until it's requested.
No one's replying to sign for it.
So,
okay, well,
is this something that you wanna really look at and do maybe?
well, I mean,
Later?
it's really whatever the board decides, but, you know, if we send it, if the individual sends it to the address of record and the town tax records,
Mhm.
my question is, why isn't just certified adequate?
Because we wanted the receipt to make sure that they got it.
I think what Jim's saying is like DEP requires just the
Certified.
certified green ones. They know it got there, right? But,
No, I got something from the DEP and I had to go sign for it.
interesting, because that was from the DEP though?
Yeah,
So like,
well,
when we notify a butter,
It
like
wasn't
Jim's
from the
saying,
DEP, it was from someone because of a DEP permit. So I'm thinking that that's how DEP required it, because it's more expensive to do it that way.
I don't know, I think,
I don't know for sure.
But
I mean, I like the return receipt, because then you know that they actually got it,
Well, then let's just leave it.
but
Yeah, I mean, this
I mean,
is a
it's
step
up
in
to
the right
the
direction
board.
anyway. If we want to change it later, we can,
we
right?
can change it later, yes.
So let's continue on with this change, and then if we want to address it later and change it up, and
Right,
go
that's
over
fine.
it.
Yeah? In agreement?
I like it.
Does anyone have questions?
You're doing fine.
Why, thank you. All right, so we have a third and last one here. So, again, like the notification, we were looking through and we were looking at updating our fees. Some of our fees are very, very low, and, you know, it's not a good thing. So we were looking at updating the actual fee schedule. And in that, when I was looking through the ordinance, I noticed that there are a bunch of places in the ordinance where they have a hard-coded cost for the fees. So if we were update the fee schedule, it wouldn't match the ordinance anymore, which would be bad. So we decided to go through and find all of the instances where a physical fee was quoted, to score those out and then refer to the fee schedule that we were having. So we can update a fee schedule whenever. The ordinances can only be changed at a meeting, where the fees can be changed through the Board of Selectmen can vote to change the fees. Okay. So it's to make everything easier. So modification makes reference to fees consistent throughout. Removal of specific fee dollar amounts from both of the ordinances. And addition of language that fees are based on the town fee schedule. So if you look under the first kind of paragraph, underneath domesticated chickens and penalties, violation of the provision of this article shall be a civil violation and a fine. And instead of saying not to exceed $100, it says in accordance with state statute 30-A MRS, paragraph 44523, as may be amended, may be imposed. So that's a section in the state regulations and statutes that describes to towns and people exactly how fees are administered, and that the town can collect fees, and that they're able to collect fees, and when they can collect fees, and how they collect fees, and all that kind of stuff. So we've changed every little instance in here to that same sentence. So if you look down to the second one, land use ordinance, section E, we crossed out up to $100 and added in accordance with state statute. Same with 8.2 below that at the bottom of the page. And then there's one on the back. This is just an overall fees. Applications for site plan review shall be accompanied by a non-refundable application fee is listed in the town fees and penalties schedule. So just trying to find some stuff to make some consistencies so it's a little bit easier. There were 4 other ordinances that were worked on that didn't make the cut, that we're hoping next year will go through. So that's all I have for ordinances. Does anyone have any questions? All right, so this is the first hearing for the ordinance changes. The town is having are you calling it an informational meeting? It's an informational meeting. If you've ever been to one of those before, like the candidates stand up and talk, and then they go over the entire warrant, all of the warrant articles, and explain those, and then we do the ordinances and explain those, so we'll do it again on that. That's May.
I think it's the
Today's
18th.
11th.
Hold on.
I think it's the 18th.
I think it's the
actually
18th.
next week, so it's next Tuesday. But that has the whole warrant on it, and all of the warrant articles for the budget. And then,
Oh, I'm looking right now.
I think it's the 18th.
So the school budget is the 19th at 4:30, and I believe we are the 20th. Hold on, let me check and see. Maybe it's the 18th.
Right,
I think the 18th are regular meeting,
of what?
selectmen's meeting, I think it's just a regular meeting to go over something.
We do have an informational meeting.
It's on the calendar on the 18th.
I think it's the
Right on
18th.
the
Yeah,
side.
it's the 18th. So, it's a good idea, because then you can get information on the whole warrant, ask any questions you have. We're doing a ballot this year instead of an actual town meeting. So you gotta come in and just kind of vote and check off the boxes, yes or no, instead of having a town meeting.
I think that's it.
Is there anything else?
You want to talk about the straw poll on there, or?
That's not, this is just the ordinance
These are
tonight.
the ordinances.
Oh, no, I was just saying that informational meeting.
Oh, yeah, that'll be there, yep.
So, all right. Guys all good? Sure. Thank you for coming.
Do you have,
But did you have a
some
question?
public comment here?
Oh,
Yeah.
I
sure.
guess it's kind of appropriate.
On the ordinances, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I talked with John in regards to putting an addition. on the
John.
house.
Oh, if you want for planning board stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's gotta wait, so the hearing was before the meeting, and then we have to close the hearing and then start the meeting. So,
Okay.
sorry, the formalities of the,
I thought you were getting ready to leave.
Oh, no, no.
oh, no.
Just this part of the meeting.
This is the hearing, and then we close this when we start the meeting,
I
so.
saw Jeremy heading for the door.
Are we good?
I think we're good, we'll close the hearing.